We always say the same great teams, but if I have to choose, Brazil and France are two great candidates for the World Cup. So said 7-time Ballon d'Or winner Lionel Messi to DirecTV Sports in mid-October 2022. But off the back of a 35-match unbeaten run, which included a Copa America triumph in 2021, Messi's first international trophy, Argentina are many people's favourites for the tournament in Qatar, as they look to add a third star to that famous blue and white strip, 36 years after their last triumph in 1986. But what is it about their squad, form, manager and draw that puts the Albiceleste among the favourites? Today on EFD Explained, we run the rule over Lionel Scaloni's men. Diego Maradona, Alfredo Di Stefano, Mario Kempes, Gabriel Batistuta, Sergio Aguero and Lionel Messi. Think of Argentinian football and the first names that generally come to mind are the endless quality forwards that have defined their respective generations. And while it would be wrong to argue that the South American giants don't produce quality defenders, something the likes of Roberto Ayala, Javier Zanetti and Walter Samuel, to name but three, would take umbrage with, it's certainly true that over the last decade their squad has tended to be incredibly top heavy. Take the 2014 World Cup for example. Argentina largely struggled through a relatively straightforward group, beating Bosnia and Herzegovina, Iran and Nigeria by a single goal, with Messi netting 4 of their 6. And after beating Switzerland in extra time, Belgium 1-0 and the Netherlands on penalties, they reached their first World Cup final in 24 years. Everyone knows what happened next, with Higuain's miss and Götze's stunning goal with 7 minutes of extra time remaining, breaking 43 million Argentine hearts. But if you look at their squad, it's fair to say they overachieved. The team that started the final included Martin Demichelis, Ezequiel Garay and Marcos Rojo in defence, 3 defenders some way short of world class, while Lucas Biglia, a solid performer at Lazio but one who underwhelmed at Milan before being shipped off to Turkey, partnered the excellent Javier Mascherano in midfield. Compared against 2022, and it's night and day. In goal is Emi Martinez, a player whose Aston Villa form might have dipped in the last 6 months but who consistently rises to the occasion for his country, conceding 1 goal in his last 10 games. What's more, unlike his predecessor Sergio Romero, who had played 7 league games in the 3 years leading up to Russia 2018, he is playing regularly. He will sit behind a defence that could include Nicolas Tagliafico, Lisandro Martinez and Cristian Romero, with Martinez and Romero's tenacity and ruthless front foot defending earmarking them out as 2 of the Premier League's best centre-backs. 4 years ago, Jorge Sampaoli was forced to call upon players such as Maximiliano Meza, Enzo Perez and Christian Pavon, now of Monterrey, River Plate and Atletico Mineiro respectively, to fill out his 23-man squad, whereas this time Rodrigo de Paul, Leandro Paredes, Alexis McAllister, Giovanni Lo Celso and Enzo Fernandez, most of whom are in excellent form right now, will form the basis of the Argentine midfield. And in attack they are of course spoilt for choice. They'll once again be built around the otherworldly talents of Lionel Messi, more on that later, but the supporting cast can more than hold their own. This will be 34-year-old Angel Di Maria's last dance, while Lautaro Martinez, Angel Correa, Joaquin Correa and Julian Alvarez are all more than capable contributors. The options are so plentiful in fact that even if Paulo Dybala had been fit, it's unlikely he'd have been picked, having been capped just 5 times since the start of 2020. So the players are there, but plenty of the favourites for the World Cup have an abundance of stars, so what makes this side so special? On the 3rd of July 2019, Argentina took to the field against Brazil in the Copa America semi-finals. Despite carving out 14 chances, hitting the post twice and having penalty shouts for Otamendi and Aguero denied in front of a raucous Belo Horizonte crowd, Argentina conceded twice despite conceding just 4 efforts on goal, and Brazil went on to win the competition, beating Peru 3-1 in the final. But that was their last defeat. 35 matches and 1,222 days have passed and they still haven't been beaten. The last time Lionel Scaloni's men lost, Jude Bellingham hadn't yet made his professional debut and Cristiano Ronaldo had just finished his first season with Juventus. But while they have played plenty of very beatable teams on that run, South American qualifying for the World Cup is no joke. Yes, only 4 of the top 20 FIFA-ranked nations are from South America, compared to 12 from Europe, but unlike in UEFA qualifying where the best sides are seeded and largely kept away from each other, South American teams embark on a brutal 18-match qualification path, playing every side home and away. They have also played some challenging friendlies in that time, including a 2-2 draw with Germany in 2019, and also beat European champions Italy 3-0 in the Finalissima in June, which saw the champions of Europe and South America meet at Wembley. To go through South American qualifying unbeaten, a feat that Brazil also matched, is quite an achievement, especially when you factor in that Portugal, Germany, Denmark, Croatia, the Netherlands and Spain, sides expected to do well in Qatar, all lost one of their games, and they only played 8. Lionel Scaloni was far from favourites for the Argentina job. After a thoroughly underwhelming World Cup in Russia that saw an unbalanced side and reportedly unhappy dressing room scrape their way into the last 16 where they lost 4-3 to France in arguably the game of the tournament, Jorge Sampaoli was fired. The media were clamouring for the likes of Marcelo Gallardo and Mauricio Pochettino, while Diego Simeone, still the nation's 6th most capped player of all time, also had plenty of advocates. In an effort to bide time for an organisation coming under serious criticism for 30 years of perceived regression, Argentina's Football Association decided to appoint Sampaoli's assistant Lionel Scaloni on an interim basis. Expectations were not particularly high, although Scaloni had had a fine playing career, retiring in 2015, having represented Deportivo La Coruña, where he won La Liga and the Copa del Rey, Lazio, Atalanta and West Ham, with whom he reached the 2006 FA Cup final. The 7-capped former international had never managed at any level. Fast forward 4 years and Scaloni has won Argentina their first Copa America in 28 years, been handed a contract running until 2026 and been heralded by his players for his impact. Speaking in June of this year, Rodrigo de Paul claimed that the coach could, quote, convince us of anything, continuing, he is very detailed and because of how he prepares for matches and tactical work, everything ends up happening. If it's 10 in the morning and he says good night, then it's night for us. Another factor that marks Argentina out among the favourites is their favourable draw. Whereas in 2018, when a 3-0 loss against eventual finalist Croatia meant they finished second in their group and set up a last 16 clash with eventual champions France, this time they've been dealt a fairly straightforward hand, with Group C containing Mexico, Saudi Arabia and Poland. Saudi may be unbeaten in 4, including draws against the US and Ecuador, but given the fact their latest squad, comprised of players based solely in the kingdom, will go in as massive underdogs. In Wojciech Szczesny, Mati Cash, Peter Zielinski, Arkadiusz Milik and of course Robert Lewandowski, Poland are to be taken seriously, but they only won 2 of their 6 Nations League games, both against Wales, and were thrashed 6-1 by Belgium in June. The biggest threat will likely come from Mexico, who have made the last 16 at the last 7 editions dating back to 1994. But given the fact Argentina have won 8 of their last 9 fixtures against them, only losing once since 1990, Scaloni's side go in as strong favourites to top the group. If they do so, they'll face the runners-up of Group D, which contains France, Australia, Tunisia and Denmark. If it is the Danes, Argentina should be careful. They've won 11 of their last 15 games and recently beat world champions France 2-0. And if they make it through that, there is a chance they could face the winners of Group A in the quarterfinals, which could be Senegal or the Netherlands. What's more, if Brazil topped Group G as expected and Argentina topped Group C, they could meet in the semi-finals on the 13th of December, a tantalising prospect for the watching world. While the competition in Qatar from the likes of Brazil and France will no doubt be fierce, and teams like Germany, England and Spain all believe they have an outside chance of winning, what truly sets Argentina apart is one man, Lionel Messi. After being effectively forced out of Barcelona, his home for the previous 21 years, last summer, due to the financial situation at the club, Messi was subdued during his debut season with PSG, with his 24 goals and assists in 34 games relatively poor by his insane standards. But this season he appears happy and his game is in full working order, already surpassing last season's tally with 25 goals and assists in 17 appearances at the time of writing. The pressure as ever is on, although Messi has netted 6 goals in World Cups, with his 4 in 2014 earning him the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. He has so far struggled to exert much influence in the knockouts, having never scored in 7 knockout appearances. With some casual football fans doubting Messi's standing amongst the very best in the game against the likes of Pelé and Maradona due to that World Cup record, a triumph here in what at 35 may be his final World Cup will crown off one of the most remarkable careers in football history. In our opinion, he's got his best chance yet. So that was our take on why Argentina have their best chance of a World Cup in years, but what did you make of it and what do you make of Argentina's chances in Qatar? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and subscribe to EuroFootball Daily if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.